French country pot roast, a comfort food that seems just right for a Sunday family dinner. French immigrants to New England introduced America to their cooking method for tenderizing meat, and that's braising in liquid, and then cooked over several hours over low heat. Pot roast is always a family favorite. To make my French country pot roast, you'll need a 2-pound boneless beef chuck pot roast that's been cut into chunks, a dry rub consisting of cracked pepper, coarse salt, and dry herbs, probably about 2 to 3 tablespoons. You'll need some flour. You'll need a quarter of an onion chopped. You'll need a small shallot chopped, 2 cloves of garlic, 2 cups of chicken broth or water, 1 cup of red wine, and an herb garnier of assorted herbs. I'll be using sage, basil, parsley, thyme, oregano, and marjoram. And you'll need a covered oven-proof pot. You're going to start by slicing your shallot and chopping it. This is just a rough cut on all of this. Same with the onion. I'm just actually going to leave these in rings. I've cut my 2-pound roast into 5 generous pieces, and now I'm sprinkling each one with some of our dry rub, and then I'll rub it in with my fingers. It's best if you dry rub all 4 sides of your roast pieces. So your next step is you need to flour your meat on all 4 sides and then move them over into another dish. I preheated my oven to 325. This roast will cook between 325 and 350 depending on your oven. And I'm now adding about 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil to my pot and turning the heat on, and then I'll be browning my meat before it goes into the oven. Our pieces are browning nicely, and I'm turning them now. So now it's time to add my onion, shallot, and I'm going to grate some garlic into the pot as well. Our meat is browned beautifully with the onions and the garlic and the shallot. And now I'm adding 2 cups of chicken broth. When you're braising meat, you always need to keep the meat covered. So throughout this recipe, as it cooks for the rest of the afternoon, you'll need to be checking it and add more liquid as needed. I just added 1 cup of red wine. I'm stirring it all together. And now it's time to add our herb garnier and cover the pot. I'll be cooking this in our oven for 6 hours at 325, or you at this point could put everything into a slow cooker or crock pot. Beautiful pot roast was in the oven for 5 hours. I've now removed the meat from the pot and separated the liquid, the juice that the pot roast cooked in, strained it through a strainer, removed as much of the grease as I could, brought my liquid dripping to a boil, and now it's time to add a mixture of flour and milk and keep stirring. This will thicken your gravy. It's about 2 tablespoons of flour to 1 cup of milk, and then we'll adjust it for thickness as it cooks. Recently, a friend reintroduced me to this wonderful product called Wondra. I think this needs to be a little bit thicker, so you just start sprinkling your Wondra in. It won't lump. It's just almost a miracle product. It'll take a few minutes until you'll be happy with the thickness, but keep adding slow additions of your Wondra that bring it back to a boil until you're happy with the consistency of your gravy. A beautifully prepared pot roast, whether served with roasted potatoes and gravy or Yorkshire pudding, is always a favorite comfort food.